Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Max from Beyond Mystic. You're watching Beyond Critical. Today, we're going to be talking all about crime in Canada, extortion crisis, and a new virus that might be coming up. But before we do so, make sure that you are subscribed to Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic 003, the Beyond Mystic channel on YouTube, and also on Rumble. You don't want to miss a beat. We're posting great videos every single day. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to not miss a single video. So we're going to be talking today about crime. I did some good research. The stream today is going to be a bit different. I'm going to say this before I start. There's a lot of news that came out in the last 48 hours, but to be honest, nothing quite substantial to actually investigate or analyze. So today I'm going to be showing you a little bit. I think I have 6 stories. We're going to be looking at updates of what we've already covered in the streams, but also new stories. We're going to finish off with some good video. It's a packed stream, but nothing too crazy has happened since the shooting of ICE over in the weekend. It seems like that's all what the mainstream media is talking about right now. And honestly, that's quite reasonable. That's what happens usually when something big comes up on the news. They start to only cover this and not cover anything else. So I did some digging on crime this morning. So we have a post here, an article from Statistics Canada saying police reported crime severity indexes. So it's from 1998 to 2024. We can see that blue line here is the violent crime compared to nonviolent crime. So nonviolent crime is low, and then the violent crime since 2014 has exploded in Canada. And you can see violent crime right here. It shows you this index. So this is not the crime rate, but it's a score that they give out of 100 since 2006 and they mix in the severity of the crimes, but also the amount of calls reported. So we can see here 1998 to 2006, it was fairly high. This was under a Liberal government. So we had Jean Chrétien, we had Paul Martin right after. But since Stephen Harper took over in 2006, it went down year over year, hitting the lowest it's been since the report has started in 2014. Now, we see right after Trudeau took power in 2015, it's been going up since every single year almost. You see some years it goes down by a little bit from 90.2 to 88, but it's been going up a lot more under the Liberal government. And when you look at this statistic here, it's a report from Fraser Institute from November 2024 saying crime rate in Canada is growing faster than in the United States. We see in Canada from 2014 to 2022, the homicide rate per 100,000 increased from 1.5 to 2.3%, an increase of nearly 53%. Over the same period, the United States homicide rate per 100,000 increased from 3.9 to 5.8. An increase of 49%. So while Canadian homicide rates remain lower than the US, the Canadian rate has increased at a higher rate since 2014. So we can see that red line here being Canada and that yellow line being the United States. Again, we can see from 2014, as it shows on Statistics Canada, the boost here, it says since 2014, the rate of violent crime, homicide, robbery, and aggravated assault has increased in Canada, and by 2022 was 14% higher than in the United States. We have the same thing for property crime here, and the rate since 2022 of the US fell by 24%, while Canada rate increased by 7%. So same thing, you can see the rate falling down for the United States, and then the rate for property crimes in Canada has been on the rise. But don't worry, the Liberal government has a plan for you. Remember that you have until March 31st to return your firearm and be compensated because, you know, the United States have guns and their crime rate has been going down. So why not take the guns away? You know, I feel like the rise in property crime maybe comes from the fact that criminals know that if they break into your home, you don't have anything to defend yourself. And if you do defend yourself, you can go to jail for it. So don't forget, guys, the gun buyback program is in effect. Turn back your gun so that way you have even less defense against violent crimes. How's everybody doing today? Has anybody turned their guns back yet? We have hi, Max. Hi, Kathy. Hope you're doing great. Before we keep going to our next story, we're going to be talking about extortion next in BC. It relates to what we've just covered regarding crime. But don't forget, celebrate Timeless Love at Ascension. Organize 25% off all pendants, bracelets, and silver jewelry. No code needed. Your discount is automatically applied at checkout, and it's valid through February 8th, 2026. We have the candles, Ellen's Candles. This thoughtfully curated candle bundle brings together two complementary energies. We have uplifted joy and grounded clarity. Shop at Florent Farm and save 10% off with code BM10. BM10 on florentfarm.ca. So next we're going to be talking about an extortion crisis. I'm going to play the statement first, but the mayor of Surrey asked the federal government to declare a state of emergency. This could mean invoking the Emergency Act, like we've seen in 2022. That's the only time it's been invoked since it was renamed the Emergency Act. It was used against peaceful protesters, but now it might be used for a second time. We'll see what the federal government decides to do. But a state of emergency could also mean bringing in the RCMP to arrest the extortionist and deport the ones that need to be deported. We'll watch the statement and then I'll get into more details right after.
And Surrey City Council is calling on Ottawa to declare the extortion crisis in Surrey a federal emergency. Mayor Brenda Locke brought forward the motion at a public hearing at City Hall last night, saying the crime and violence has escalated beyond local law enforcement's ability to respond.
We have to take a look at an awful lot of things to make sure we're doing this in a very holistic way, because this is absolutely just causing extreme concern, fear, and as has noted, alleged retaliation. And that is going to take us to another place.
So far this year, Surrey has recorded at least 35 reports of extortion-related shooting.
So that's exactly it. The main perpetrators, the suspects, are a lot of Indian immigrants from the Bishnoi gang. It's a terrorist organization that it was labeled a terrorist organization in September of 2024 or 2025. I forget the year, but it was labeled I think it's 2025 by Gun Grab Gary. He labeled them a terrorist organization. Essentially, what they do is they set houses on fire or they shoot at them. Same thing with businesses. They'll ask people for money in exchange, and if you don't comply, they'll either shoot your house or start a fire. We have an article from CBC here that explains how bad it has become. It says Surrey, British Columbia is calling on Ottawa to declare a federal state of emergency over the rise of extortion, with 35 suspected incidents of the crime recorded in this month alone. And it says last year there was 132 extortion attempts, 49 of which involved shots fired at homes and businesses. Dozens of other cases were reported in Abbotsford and Delta. So we can see here guns being shot at windows, and same thing, the lit up fires. I'll show you in a second an article from Global News. But before, we have a statement from the police. This is a different CBC article, and it says, he's quoting a police officer here. It says, he stressed police do not condone vigilantism or people arming themselves to fight back. He said that there was an investigation underway regarding the potential careless use of a firearm. In the worst case scenario, you may think you're defending yourself, but you may end up killing someone who's innocent, he said. That's not something we think anyone wants to have happen. So, moral of the story, if someone is shooting up at your house and asking you to give them money, threatening to burn your house down, make sure to not defend yourself. You could harm an innocent person. Crypto Blonde, is anyone surprised? No, I'm not surprised. When I read this, I wasn't even surprised when I read it. I was like, yeah, I knew this was coming somewhere. But we have some even crazier news here related to this story from Global News. This came out on December 11th. I spoke about this on my Instagram at the time. It says extortion suspect have claimed refugee status, Canada Border Agency says. So what essentially happened is a 14 suspect that had been convicted or were suspected, of lighting. See, you can see here they lit up a car on fire. They were suspected of lighting up a car on fire, and they got arrested. But they found a loophole in the justice system where if they file an asylum claim, it stops the court or the trial from happening. It delays it until the claim is either accepted or refused. But there's a big backlog right now for claims, and it can take up to 4 years for the claim to have a verdict, meaning they stay in Canada for 4 years, as it shows here. They just bought 4 years in Canada with subsidized health. If they want to go to school, that's subsidized, and if they need public assistance, that's subsidized by the taxpayer. So they can stay in Canada. Those are 14 criminals, or alleged criminals, but with the pretty serious evidence against them. And they can go to school or send their kids to school. The same thing. They can get a doctor. They can get health care, which I don't even have a family doctor, so they have more privilege than me when it comes to that part. And then they can get government assistance, meaning benefits as well, subsidized by the taxpayer. So we're paying for these people to light our houses on fire and then escape deportation through asylum claims. This is absolutely ridiculous. John Dizzle, comply. How did they get into this country? Well, they should. Yeah, I agree. They should be deported. Our system is so bad that you can show up here essentially uninvited just by crossing the border illegally and filing an asylum claim as soon as you get to Canada, and they will let you stay until your application is reviewed, either accepted or not accepted. But like I said, it takes a bunch of time, and you can get benefits while you're waiting for your claim to be accepted or refused. And if it doesn't get accepted, you can appeal, which means while your appeal process is going, you can stay in Canada as well. And then if you get denied, then there's no real way for the Canada Border Services Agency to know that you're in Canada. So they might not even send you back home. There was a story, I talked about this on my Instagram. I forgot the name of the guy. It was a guy from Afghanistan, but he was involved in ISIS, terrorism activities, basically. Him and his buddy that came here both illegally, both filed an asylum claim that was refused. That was, I think, in 2017, and they're still here in 2025 or 2026, awaiting a trial. And I think this trial is actually happening in January, but that's a story. Well, they're alleged of trying to kidnap. They're being suspected of kidnapping or attempted to kidnap people. His buddy that's related to ISIS is suspected of conspiracy to commit murder. I mean, there's a lot of stuff against these people, and you wonder why him and his family are still here even after being refused their asylum claim, because no one really checks on them, right? The Canada Border, the IRCC, said it. There might be up to 5 million illegal immigrants here in Canada. They gave out a bunch of visas, temporary permits for studying and for work, but I don't think they thought about what would happen when those permit expires. We don't have the possibility to actually deport these people. And the CBSA were saying that they were trying to deport at least 400 people a week, or 22,000 a year on average, which would take over 20 years to deport everyone that's here illegally, one. And two, they don't really want to go and do a forced deportation, because when they offer you to self leave, I guess, I think I'd have to research this to be a completely fair in my figures, but I believe they give you about $1,800 as like a reward, and they pay your flight ticket back home. I'm pretty sure, but it costs. So it's about like $5,000 total for if someone leaves by themselves, but it's closer to 18,000 if they actually need to force kick you out. So that's why they don't really do it, because it costs money, but they don't check. They should check, but they don't check. It was asked a lot of time in parliaments, and every time they answer it, they either say, we don't have the figures, we don't have enough information to provide an accurate estimation of how many people are here legally. They say between 500,000 and 5 million. It's very hard to know. So yeah, no, this is pretty crazy. John Dizzle, you are making a great point. Why do citizens not have the right to safety and services, whereas guest does? Well, yeah, this is exactly what I say. Canada needs a Trump. Yeah, well, we need an ICE, and we kind of have one. The CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency, is supposed to do what ICE is doing, but they don't because, one, it costs money, and there's probably not enough employees to actually do that. And the IRCC, the Immigration, Refugee, and Citizen Canada, they don't have information. They don't really keep track. They don't have a way to know who's here illegally and who has the right to be here. So they don't know who to kick out and who to keep in the country. Now, this one is crazy. We have a virus outbreak, potentially COVID 2.0 here. It says South Carolina measles outbreak is the largest in the U.S. since measles was declared eliminated. Was declared eliminated. The fastest growing measles outbreak in South Carolina is now the largest in the United States since the disease was declared eliminated in the country more than 2 decades ago. With 789 cases reported as of Tuesday, the South Carolina outbreak surpassed a massive outbreak in Texas, which reached 762 cases before it ended in August last year. 2 children died during the outbreak in Texas. South Carolina, which first reported a case in October, has added more than 600 cases in 2026 alone. At least 18 people, adults and children, have been hospitalized for complication of measles. The state health department said Tuesday that no deaths have been reported. So I was not alive, I think, at the time I looked, and this virus seemed to be more popular in the late 1990s. I was born in 2005, so I never knew this virus existed, to be completely honest with you. But I was doing some research this morning, and especially this article from CNN here. CNN is like the CBC, by the way, for Canadian watchers, like super left leaning. But they talk about vaccines a lot, and that's why I wanted to share this. This article seems very propaganda. It says there are an additional 557 people in quarantine, so they're already mentioning quarantine again, in South Carolina, meaning they may have been exposed to the measles and don't have immunity to it through vaccination. So this is the first mention. There's probably like 6 or 7 in this whole article. Or prior infection. The health department reported exposures at 3 additional schools Tuesday on top of existing quarantines among students at 20 others. So we're going to go down here and check out real quick. The medical industrial complex does not give up trying to scare the public. Yeah, exactly. The next pandemic. Yeah, well, I have some theories on this I'm going to share at the end here after I go through the article with you. This is a quote from a doctor, and Catherine Wright-Burke said, "We have this amazing vaccine that would help protect us all from getting the measles, and we're just seeing that people aren't as excited about getting that vaccine anymore. This is why we're seeing measles come back into the United States. Cases in North Carolina and Washington and California have also been linked to the South Carolina outbreak." And then it says it's the highest it's been since the year 2000. 180 measles case reported. Yeah, it says 2,200 in 2025. And then, so this is where it's confusing, because it was saying like close to 800 earlier, and then it says 416 confirmed measles cases reported in the U.S. so far. And there, it talks about a lot of vaccination here. So again, possible in large part because of the vaccination. The measles vaccine was licensed in 1963 and combined with measles, mumps, rubella, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes down again, saying that the U.S. Department of Health is providing $1.4 million, they requested $1.4 million in aid. And we have this paragraph here says, but the federal government posture towards measles has changed under HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic. The department says vaccination is the most effective way to prevent measles, but Kennedy has also focused on unconventional treatments, including vitamin A, steroid, and antibiotics. So the unconventional treatments is vitamin A, which is a natural vitamin that you find in food. That's the unconventional treatment, according to this article. And then it kind of bashes this guy, Ralph Abraham, for not wanting to force vaccine on his people. And then here it says the vast majority of cases in South Carolina outbreak are among children, nearly all of whom were not fully vaccinated with the recommended dose of MMR vaccine. Out of the 789 cases reported, more than 700 were not vaccinated or had not received the 2 recommended MMR dose. The health department said state health officials have been encouraging vaccination, including through facilitating mobile health unit vaccination events to try to contain the outbreak. 90% of students had required immunization in the 2024-2025 school year. Public health experts say 95% vaccination rate is typically needed to keep measles from spreading in a community because the virus is so contagious. And so what this means here is that 95% of a class need to be vaccinated for the virus not to spread, and they're reporting around 90% vaccination. So that's why it's killing everyone right now, according to the article. And so we have people on X as well saying they're already quick to bring back the narrative from COVID, saying anti-vax turned us back into the medieval peasants. Sadly, this is what happens when people are misled by lying anti-vaxxers. So sad that forces of ignorance and anti-science led to such suffering. So, yeah. Funny thing, because my theory on this, I actually kind of have 2 theories. Before I go into this, John saying, I come from a time where doctors would come to your family house and deal with medical issues. Really, that is true. A family doctor made house calls. Yeah. So my theories on this, I have 2 different ones, and they kind of go together. One being the importation of third world immigrants. So if they carry the disease, or if they're not vaccinated as they're supposed to be, well, those kids go into class, right? So when they're saying 95% of the classroom need to be vaccinated, well, if you're bringing in third worlders that are not vaccinated, well, that's going to lower this this percentage figure down. So this is right there, we kind of can blow up that statement from the CNN saying that it's because the classroom wasn't vaccinated. I think it might be because you're bringing in third world immigrants and third world children who are not vaccinated. And then the number 2, this is a bit more far-fetched. We'll have to see the news that follows in the upcoming days. But the vaccine for COVID was really angled towards protecting the older generation. It was get the vaccine so your grandma doesn't catch COVID. And in the article, they kind of talk about how parents are scared or don't want to get the vaccine for their kids anymore because they have a lack of trust towards the vaccine since COVID. They realized that the vaccine didn't really do much. So now less and less parents want to give vaccine to their kids. And the timing matches because it says that the kids that are most at risk are 5 years old and younger. And COVID happened in the last 5 years, right? In 2020. So it's been 5 to 6 years. So this might be a way to try and scare parents into starting to get the vaccines back into the kids. I don't know. This theory just makes sense because of the timing, but we'll have to see how it develops over the upcoming weeks. The vax was killing people. Well, exactly, right? And that's why most people don't trust vaccines anymore and don't think they need them for their children. So it could be a way to, since the COVID was angled at get your vaccine for your grandma, now it's maybe get your vaccine to protect children, and children need to get vaccinated to not die or not be hospitalized. So we'll have to see how this develops. Just a theory. We have Trump as well. I'm going to play a video. Well, not Trump, but we have Secretary Scott Bessent saying that Mark Carney, after his speech at Davos, who said some things about Trump, indirectly saying that we need to diversify our partners, we don't need the states. He said that Carney and Trump had a private meeting and he was in the room and heard Carney step back or take back. I mean, some of the things he said on his statement. I think he said walk back was the exact term, but let's watch the statement from Scott Bessent here.
And interest rates will be down significantly. They're already down quite a bit. Let's talk about the Prime Minister, or if you prefer, Governor of Canada, and him threatening to, break economic alliances with the U.S., go with China. The president has threatened a 100% tariff. What impact would that have?
it would be a disaster for Canada. I was in the Oval with the president today. He spoke to Prime Minister Carney, who was very aggressively walking back some of the unfortunate remarks he made at Davos. And Sean, I'm not sure what the Prime Minister was thinking. Of course, Canada depends on the US. There's much more north-south trade than there could ever be east-west trade. He talks about middle countries having to do their own thing. And I'm old enough to remember when French President Francois Mitterrand tried to go down that route. It failed back in the 80s. It'll fail now. And Canada is linked to the US, and the Prime Minister should do what's best for the Canadian people rather than trying to push his own globalist agenda.
So he's right here. The Prime Minister should do what's best for the Canadian people. And I'll answer this question. Yes, in 2020, I was in 9th grade. I'm young, guys. I know I'm young. But so I lived through COVID. I was in school. Yeah. And I was home for like 2.5 years, I think, total throughout or maybe a year and a half, 2 years throughout my high school, doing school from my laptop. It was something. Now we have Trudeau's answer to this statement here. So I'm not going to play the full video because it's a pretty simple question, and you can see the video is 1:46. So he gave the most not Trudeau, Carney's answer here. Sorry, he gave the most Mark Carney answer ever.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that you walked back your comments on Davos in a conversation with Mr. Trump. Is that the case, Prime Minister?
As I said, well, first off, the president called me yesterday. We had a very good conversation on a wide range of subjects, ranging from situation in Ukraine.
So
I explained to him about something Canada trade policy that we're running positive.
So the question was pretty straightforward, and he's been talking for 1:30. Has not answered the question yet. He answers it at the end. He doesn't even answer it actually. Look,
Positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA. He understood that, and it was a good conversation, as I said.
So you didn't walk back your comments?
So they have to ask him at the end as he's leaving. They say, "Did you have to back your comments?" And he just says, "No," and he leaves. So again, we don't know who's telling the truth. The reason I'm showing you both these videos is not just to watch the clips, but to understand that when we're talking about politics, whether you don't like Mark Carney or you like Mark Carney, or you don't like Trump, you like Trump, you always have to look at both sides. I found that looking through X, people are quick to side with either Carney right away or side with the US right away. And you have to kind of look at both sides and analyze. There's for sure some truth in what Carney is saying and some truth in what Scott Bessent is saying. Maybe they're not. They're both lying a little bit, right? The truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm sure Carney walked back his statement. I'll be honest with his answer. You can tell, but I'm just showing you these videos because both have millions of views, and they're both either attacking the U.S. or attacking Canada. And sometimes it's like, well, let's take a step back. Let's look at both sides and understand that they're both politicians. We need to analyze and judge with our own eyes and with what we know. You know, I don't like Carney. I think he, like I said, for sure walked back his statement. But another part I didn't like about this too is that he didn't tell us that he had a conversation with Donald Trump. And I feel like we would not have known that he did if he wasn't asked by these reporters that question. And if Scott Bessent didn't say that he spoke to Trump, we would not have known. So moral of the story, always look at both sides and look at what people in the comments are saying and make your own decisions, and never side with a party too quickly. Never side with a side too quickly. Now we're going to switch to this video here. This is Michael Ma. His first appearance in the Chamber of Commons since he became a Liberal. Michael Ma switched sides on December 11th, and he's trying to make a speech here, and he just gets absolutely heckled by the Conservative government. It's pretty funny.
My priority remains the same, standing up for my constituents and making sure that concerns are acted on. Last fall, I held a crime prevention town hall in Markham Unionville. What I heard clearly and repeatedly,
you hear it in the background, they're screaming at him,
was concern about auto thefts situations and the impact these crimes have on families' sense of safety. Mr. Speaker, can the minister outline how Canada's new government is strengthening public safety and ensuring parties and the rules they want?
Yeah, no, they don't like him. He's a traitor. He switched sides. He switched sides. We have politicians. Yes, well, that's exactly it. You know, whether you like him or not, they're politicians at the end of the day. And we're going to end off today with Tom Uman. He's the border czar, and he's working on a database to track down violent protesters interfering with ICE. He wants to expose them, expose their names, and expose their faces to the public and their employers. Let's watch the announcement.
This job and these people who want to say follow ICE, and film ICE, you know what? You can protest. They have that right. But when you cross the line, and we've proven it, if you interfere or impede or assault an ICE officer, you will be prosecuted. And one thing I'm pushing for right now, Laura, we're going to create a database where those people that are arrested for interference, impediment, assault, we're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are. Because as you said, a lot of these people, they say they're taking time off work to protest. I bet you a lot of them are calling in sick. I bet you a lot of their employers don't know what they're doing. But we're going to make sure everybody knows who they are. We're going to broadcast. They want to broadcast the ICE officer that was nearly killed all over the internet. We're going to broadcast every one of these people we arrest.
So this is good here because a lot of these people, when they're on the street protesting and being violent and resisting arrest, they have masks. You don't see them, right? Because they know that what they're doing is illegal. Not all of them, some of them are peaceful, but some of them are doing illegal activities, impeding or trying to stop ICE officers from doing their job and being violent in protest. So he wants to expose them. Maybe that's going to put a good scare into them and take the violent protesters off the streets. Before I let you go, make sure to follow Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic on the YouTube and also on Rumble. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to not miss a beat. And we have Jean-Claude with Andy Beyond the Vault coming up in 28 minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rule for gun owners: you never point it. Yeah, I think that's the first thing you learn when you take your gun license, is not pointing the gun at someone. That's exactly it. Perfect, guys. I know today was different. I showed you a bit of different stories. I didn't have much to comment or analyze, but we'll see what comes up tomorrow. I'll be live tomorrow, Thursday at 1 p.m. Again, thanks for watching. My name is Max from Beyond Critical, and I'll see you tomorrow.